let's talk about something we all deal with, the past. Is it this heavy thing that holds you back like a prison? Or could it actually be a toolkit, something you can use to build a better future? We're going to figure that out. You know that feeling, right? Where you're just replaying these old, painful memories over and over again. It's like you're stuck in a really bad movie on a loop, and you're just wishing you had the remote to edit the whole thing. It's a trap, and honestly, it causes a lot of unnecessary suffering.
So this is all about making a really powerful mental shift. The old way of looking at things treats the past like a VCR tape, right? A fixed recording you just have to watch again and again. But the new view, the one we're exploring, sees it totally differently. It sees the past as your own personal database, your big data. It's like having your own Google search engine for lessons and perspective you can use right now.
Okay, so how do we get caught in this trap of yesterday in the first place? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how we build this mental prison for ourselves.
So why does the past feel so heavy sometimes? Well, a few things are going on. A big one is that we over-identify with what happened. We don't say, I had an experience of failure. No, we tell ourselves, I am a failure. We also get stuck when we haven't really processed and found a resolution for things. So our brain, trying to be helpful, just keeps bringing it up, searching for a closure it can't find. And that creates this painful, exhausting loop.
And that leads us right to the core problem, what we can call the VCR tape model of memory. It's a really flawed way of thinking, and it's a direct pipeline to suffering. Think about it. When you're just constantly dwelling on negative stuff from the past, worrying, fretting, feeling like life's unfair, your mind hits the panic button. It activates your stress response, flooding your system with hormones like cortisol that literally beat you up from the inside. And when that's happening, it's pretty much impossible to think straight. And here's the real kicker. That mental and physical exhaustion means you're not just fighting your external challenges, you're fighting yourself at the same time. It's a war on two fronts. And when you're that drained, you can't prepare properly, which can create this awful self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. But, and this is a big but, here is the good news. You actually have the power to flip the script on this whole thing. So let's dive into a new model for empowerment, one that turns your past into your greatest asset. Okay, this is the absolute key point. The past isn't a movie. It's just your awareness of experience. That's it. It's the raw data, the lessons, the context. Think of the past and the future like tools, like plugins for your consciousness. They're the hammers and the nails that you use to build your life in the here and now. Because at the end of the day, the present moment is the only thing that's truly real. It's the only place life is actually happening. It's where you have the raw, unfiltered power to make a different choice, to take a new action, and to completely change your course.
So, how does this mental flip actually work in practice?
Well, it all comes down to one fundamental principle. Your perception literally creates your reality.
I just love this quote because it's so direct. Your perception is a direct result of your thinking. And it's not about just forcing happy thoughts. It's about actually being positive, which just naturally flows from a well-managed mind. The story you tell yourself, that becomes your truth.
And that kind of thinking, well, it creates expectations. And you can think of expectations as these little mental shortcuts. They basically predetermine our emotional reactions and set the entire stage for how we're going to experience the world. And right there, from that one single point of perception, two completely different paths emerge. A negative perception, that leads you down a path of disappointment and fear, and it often ends in failure. But a positive, resilient perception, that leads to a path of adaptability and evolution. The choice of which path you're going to walk is entirely yours. Okay, so how do we actually choose that second path? Let's get really practical. I'm going to give you 4 strategies that make up what we can call your warrior toolkit for building real resilience. All right, here are your 4 key tools. Number 1, reframe. Start seeing challenges not as these big, scary threats, but as opportunities to learn something. 2, embrace contrast. You got to understand that good and bad kind of define each other. 3, process to solve. This means you extract the lessons from the past instead of just reliving the pain. And number 4, anchor. You ground yourself firmly in the power of this present moment. Let's dig into that second one for a sec. Embracing contrast. I mean, we live in a world of opposites, right? We only know what good is because bad exists. We only know happiness because we've known sadness. The source makes this really fascinating point. Try this as a thought experiment. If you can sit down and list 20 negative things about a situation,
Then logically, 20 positive things must also exist, even if you can't see them yet. It's about training your brain to see the whole picture, not just the dark parts.
And this is the absolute key to step 3, processing to solve. This is where you stop being a victim of your past and you become a student of it. You approach your own memories like they're data, looking for lessons, identifying patterns that you can use. This shifts you from a place where you feel powerless to a place of real, genuine empowerment.
So, let's bring it all together. It really does come back to that core idea we talked about earlier. It's all about the story you choose to believe about yourself. If you think you're a warrior, someone who can learn, adapt, and overcome, then that is exactly who you will become.
Look, suffering from your past isn't a life sentence. It's a signal. It's a signpost pointing you toward patterns that are just waiting to be understood. You have the ability to reframe your past, not as a prison, but as your own personal library of wisdom. So the only real question left is, now that you have the tools, what are you going to build?